of Sentry Commercial and host of what we call now the ONWARD series. This is episode 1, and I'm joined by our guest, Paul Tyler, Chief Marketing Officer at Nassau Financial Group, and Laura Dinan Haber, Innovation Program Manager, Nassau Reimagine. So it was over a year ago, Paul, when we had met in Hartford, and I think that day we pulled the plug and everybody went home. So welcome back to the city. We wanted to just touch on the community, both from a innovation and incubator startup program, which I know Laura is working and running, and then also hit with you, Paul, on just what Nassau Re and Nassau Financial Group is doing to bring their people back to Hartford so that we can move onward and get back into the community. So welcome, both of you. Appreciate you being here today. And Laura, I'm going to pass it to you. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with the incubator program. Where are you at? What is your timing? How is the community? How are the teams? What does that look like for you right now?
Yeah, thanks so much, Curt. Thanks for having us on here today. It's exciting to talk about what's going on in Hartford. I'm happy to say that we are actually back in Hartford, albeit not today, but we've gone back at least 2 days a week into the incubator space. So it's exciting to see the city light back up, and the startup community as well. It's been active the entire time. So we talked about during that pandemic time frame, and what have we been up to? How has the program been running? And we've taken it from an in-person approach, we converted to virtual, and we actually saw an extension of an international base during that time frame. So we kept our programming running, we kept engagement with the startups within the Nassau Reimagine incubator program, as well as the companies at large. And it was really interesting to watch how people reacted and pivoted. So it's definitely safe to say that the startup community is still very active. It's still very hungry. We're hearing more and more people wanting to come back downtown, come into the space and start to engage person to person, as we had about 15 or 16 months ago. So we're continuing the program forward, taking an interesting focus and an interesting look, kind of reimagining what Reimagine 2.0 is going to be. So some exciting things for us to share shortly. But it's been an interesting time, but a strong time to say that the startup community is strong. It has been strong. It is coming back. And another great example, June 17th, that happens to be tomorrow, and SureTech Hartford has their Innovation Challenge, so an international challenge taking place virtually, just to show that there's a lot going on and a lot of people rallying behind it. So we're happy to be here to talk about it and to really support the community at large.
That's awesome. That's really great. What does your group look like now in terms of companies? How many companies? Where are those companies coming from? And how is that impacting Hartford?
Sure. So right now we are engaged with 17 different startups. They're located across the world. So some of our companies that are engaging with us are located in Australia, they're in South Africa, they're in Switzerland, to name a few. They're also in West Hartford and local regions as well. But it's interesting because we haven't had a lot of the international startups come back physically as of yet, where there had been travel bans put in place. We're seeing that certain things lift as vaccines roll out and as we return to office and others return to office as well. So again, as I had mentioned, it's a lot of the virtual engagement and really kind of meeting people quite literally where they are, and that happens to be on Zoom a lot of the time. So we're going to be kind of converting into a hybrid type activity as we go into the summer and fall here, but excited to get people back physically into the space and engage with them again in that way.
That's awesome. I think we've all evolved from an engagement and or a meeting, whether it's Zoom or in person, those are real things. Those are real meetings, with innovation happening. So, Zoom is I think forever changed our world relative to collaboration and just making the markets move forward. So, absolutely. Welcome Paul Tyler, Chief Marketing Officer at Nassau Financial Group. Paul,
Curt,
tell us what's going on downtown.
Yeah, sure, Curt. Thanks for having us on. And I can't believe how long it's interesting. It was, you think back to January, February of last year, how much has transpired, yet, how long it's been, yet how short it's been in terms of our experiences and how the world seemed to work. Yeah. As Laura mentioned, we're back. Our leadership team, firmly believes in Hartford, firmly believes in getting the employees back physically into the buildings. And we've, as Laura mentioned, we're all sort of on 2-a-day schedules in the office, 3 days out, and that varies from group to group. Also from management style to management style, because I think as you look at companies, companies really are a collection of leaders and people, and how do these various teams work together? So I think if you look at our company, you'll see very different approaches in terms of what it means to work in space, and how this is going to work virtually. We've certainly got people inside our company who would love to just reset the clock and start again in March. I think the reality is closer to what you mentioned, which is we found out a lot of things we could do. The question is, what do we want to do going forward? And what does it mean to be working? What does workspace look like? How do we function in a hybrid environment where some people are physically in place, some are out? What does work mean? What does collaboration mean? What is innovation? How does it happen?
Absolutely. I think, we've been put to the test on this over the last year. The question becomes, and I think, companies realize that, hey, there might be a better approach to that environment. Maybe we do have the hybrid model that's working. We're partly in the community, but the efficiencies that we've seen and people's ability to get, not that we need to work 14 hours a day with Zoom meetings back to back, but it's been an interesting experience that I think we've all been able to grow from, because it's a challenge. And I feel like, because it was such a long time, I feel like we've pivoted 3, maybe 4 or 5 times, because I think in any pivot, when I left you back at March the 13th, I figured we'd be back in Hartford in maybe 6 weeks. We'd be right back at it. And so that pivot lasted for 90 days, and it was like, okay, what does this now look like? So it's been an interesting time. I've seen it. We made a commitment back to Hartford in January, and upped our lease for a new 5 years, and did a relocation into more space. So we certainly believe in the community. We've enjoyed getting involved with the startups and being part of your programs and other startups like Upward Hartford, et cetera, Upward Labs. And so I think that, a hybrid model is great, but we'd love to see Hartford, come back, because it was very vibrant prior to the pandemic. And we still have some great restaurants to look at, coming to. So again, from a programming perspective, we're available. We're part of the community. We want to help your company continue to grow, and your program to continue to grow. So anything that we can do to be part of that, always let us know. And welcome back to Hartford, Laura. Hey. Same for you. Let's continue to collaborate and do great stuff. So anything, again, we can do on our side, let us know. Any more ads on your parts?
No, Curt, thanks for your support. For the incubator, support for Hartford. I think, I've seen your company actively involved with Sean at Upward Hartford. It's a lot of the work I think Stacy's been doing. So, hey, listen, we thank you, and listen, welcome to, we really welcome the opportunity to work with your team as we move forward into how this world evolves. Absolutely.
So that's great, guys. So again, I'm joined by Laura Dinan Haber and Paul Tyler, Nassau Reimagine and Nassau Financial Group. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm Curt Gemme with Sentry Commercial, and this is episode 1. This is the banner episode 1 of ONWARD, where we'll be joined by other executives and leaders in our community to talk about where do we go onward. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Curt.
Have a great day.
Thanks.